نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري.
Okay, so we start with the letter Elif. The first letter. You start from top and work your way down to the bottom. It's just a line. So that's quite straightforward. Now the Elif is probably the hardest letter to learn because it's actually accompanied usually with Hamza. Now this Hamza is usually written in this way. And there's another type of Hamza as well, which is something like this. We'll talk about this later on, inshallah. So just for now, just think of the Alif as just a line. When these get attached to it, this letter is then not termed Alif. It's called a Hamza. So this is a very powerful letter, which converts the Alif to a Hamza. And we'll talk about this later on, inshallah. Now, with the Alif, how is it written in the beginning of a word, in the middle and the end? So in the beginning of a word, it's actually written as we wrote it there. So it's just, that's how it's written. In the middle of a word, so for example, let's say there's a word before it, and it's coming across. To write the Alif, all we do is just raise it up like this. If this is in the middle of the word, there'll be a letter coming after it. Now this letter coming after it won't join to the Alif. So let's for example say it was a ba. It will just be written after it. And similarly, at the end of a word, it will just be like that. If you were to write 3 Alifs, one after the other, and let's assume they're from the same word, we would write it in the following way. So notice, this Alif does not join to this, because Alif doesn't join to the letter after it. It can to the letter before it. So say there was a letter before it, it could join, but not after it. That's why we wrote the Alifs separately. Okay, next letter. The Ba. So the Ba is written in the following way. You start from not to the top, and then just go down, and up like that. Probably not that long, that's quite long, so probably just something like this. So once again, let's see how this letter is in the front of a word, in the middle and the end. So in the front of a word, it'll be written like that, and then there'll be a dot there. And it's not brought up to allow for the next letter. Now if it's in the middle of the word, so what we do is we just bring it up, and then do it like this. And put the dot. And similarly, in the end, up, and then it'll be the complete, because it's the last letter. Now, if we were to write 3 of these in a row, assuming they're from the same word, how do you do it? Okay, that's quite straightforward. The next 2 letters, the ta and the tha, are very similar. The only difference is where the dots are put. So let's do this. Okay, the ta. So once again, it's written on top. There's 2 dots there. Now these 2 dots can be represented by the following. So if we do this again, we can do a line like this. Now this line, so I'll make it a bit longer, this line can represent these 2 dots. So it's just a shorthand way of writing it. So once again, in the beginning, we leave this for the next letter. In the middle, so there's a letter coming, and then put the ta there. And finally, ending. comes, and then once again the 3 tas is very easy. It's just one after the other. Now get to the tha. It has the 3 dots. Now we can actually, let's just do this. Now we can represent these 3 dots by the following. It's like an upside down V. And that's just a shorthand way of doing that. Sometimes you might find writing, especially for Arab writes, you'll find that they use this shorthand way. Now let's get to the beginning of a word. Now it doesn't matter which dot you put first. There's no preference. So that's the beginning. Then we have the middle, so it's coming, and then and finally the end. And it's similar. It just finishes. So it's you get the 3 dots there. Sorry, that's not that good. I'll just make it a bit better. Yeah. And writing the 3 thas together as if they were one word is as follows. Sorry that I just did it should be 3 dots there. So that's quite straightforward. Okay, we have the Jim now. So the Jim is written in the following way. You start just above the line and you go across and then come down and then put the dot there. So once again, across, come down and put the dot there. This can go a bit further than here, that's fine, but don't bring it over here. So don't stop the line up to here. Bring it more. So either parallel to the same length as this, or a bit further down. That's fine. Now, Jim in the beginning of the word is as follows. We start here, go down, and then come across, and put a dot there. And then the next letter comes after it. So it joins to the next letter. Now, when it comes to the middle of a letter, so we have a letter coming before it, then we have the Jim, and then across like that. And there is the dot. And coming at the end is a bit different. So we have the letter. What we do is we raise it up a bit. And then write this form. So we come across, we start from here, go across, and then come down like that. And then put the dot. Now if we want to write 3 Jims in a row, it's as follows. First Jim, second Jim, and then the third Jim. So, and then we dot it. Another way of doing it, and this is the shorthand way, is what you do is go like this, and like that, and like that. So that's 3 Jims, and you just dot them. Now that's more advanced. You'll find this form in the Qur'an script. As a beginner, this is probably the easiest way to do it. The next 2 letters, the ha and the kha, are exactly the same as this. The only difference is where the dot is. So I'm going to leave this on, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to take off the dots and just put them in the place where they're supposed to be, inshallah. So here we have the letter ha. The ha has no dot. So everything that I told you about the Jim is the same. The way it's written, all the different forms. The only difference will be the dot is not there. So let's just remove the dot of each one. So that's the ha. Next we have the kha. It's the same way, but the difference is where the dot is. Let me just show you where the dot is supposed to be. So in its isolated form, it goes on top here. Similarly here, it goes on top. And similarly here, it goes on top as well.